Jane Velez Mitchell in for Nancy Grace. Astounding breaking news outside the Orlando, Florida home of George and Cindy Anthony. Inside Casey Anthony, at least 4 cop cars as well as an unmarked car showing up moments ago. The big question is, why are they there? Are they there because there's a protest going on, or are they there for some other reason? Natisha Lance, Nancy Grace producer, outside taking in this extraordinary scene. Are they going into the home as if they're going in to talk to the Anthony family? Natisha, can you hear me? Well, I can tell you what I'm seeing right now is the front door appears to be open. It looks like you're looking at Casey in there, a possibility of Casey in there as you see somebody behind the door, and obviously there look like officials as well. The door closes. We don't know why they're there. Of course, the obvious question that's on everybody's mind,
I'm ready. Are
they there to make an arrest? Possibly. We don't want to jump to any conclusions. There's a protest going on outside. At first, the first moments we thought maybe they're there because the protesters are getting out of hand and going on private property. Natisha Lance, Nancy Grace producer, where did the officers go?
Jane, the lead investigator, John Allen, is inside the home right now with 2 other detectives who have been working on the case. There are 6 unmarked police cars, 2 of them which are parked on the lawn of the Anthony home, which I'm sure you can probably see right now. The protesters are blocking our view a little bit. There is also a police officer who is standing in front of the protesters, making sure that nobody goes past him. Now, we don't know what's going on at this point. However, police cars, marked and unmarked, have blocked the way for anybody to get past the front of the Anthony's driveway, aside from those who are already in front of it.
Natisha, people are coming in and out.
Now investigators are coming out of the Anthony home.
I'm seeing what appears to be Casey in there. Is that Casey, or is that our video?
Casey, I can see barely, but it is Casey. I can see through the front door window. There are 2 investigators who are in front of her, and like I said before, the lead investigator on this case, Detective John Allen, is inside as well. He is in the blue shirt, standing closest to the door with the glasses. I'm not sure if you can see him from here or not.
I just saw Cindy as well. I saw Cindy Anthony. She is obviously involved in whatever conversation is going on between the authorities, the lead investigator, who appears to be opening the door right there, and Casey and Cindy, all huddled in conversation.
Casey Anthony is now exiting the home. Protesters outside here are cheering. We don't know where she is going, but she is being led away in what seems to be handcuffs.
Repeat, is it Casey?
Yes, it is Casey. She just got into one of the unmarked police cars.
Okay, Casey is being led out of the home. As you stay on this picture, let's go to the defense attorney, Alan Ripka. As you see this, what do you think? And again, we don't have the information, but what are the possibilities? Is she being arrested? Did she agree to the limited immunity deal, which is up on Tuesday morning? What do you think?
Well, I think that if she's being led away in handcuffs, chances are that the information that the police officers and district attorney's office found from either the DNA or the air has led them to bring her back in. If she's not in handcuffs and she's coming of her own free will with her attorney, chances are she's agreed to the immunity deal, and they're going to get together and talk about it.
Natisha, let's confirm. Was she handcuffed or not as she was led out of the house?
I'm trying to confirm that right now, Jane. I cannot see far enough to see if she was handcuffed or not, but what I can tell you is that protesters out here are cheering, and she was let out by the lead investigator, Detective John Allen, along with 2 other investigators.
And you see
she is now
Cindy
in that car, and they are leaving the home.
And you see Cindy Anthony right there in front of her home talking on a cell phone, but she seems relatively composed. She is not visibly distraught. So again, going back to Alan Ripka, defense attorney, as you see these cars pull away, in your experience as an attorney, would there be that many cars to take her away if it were not something significant?
No, actually there would not be that many cars, and I'll tell you something else, Jane. If this was planned, her attorney would have been in the house, and they would have been together, and they would have left together if they were going to go talk about this deal voluntarily.
So what does that tell you then, Alan?
It tells me that these officers, based upon this situation and no attorney and potentially handcuffs, that they have new information or information that they think they could charge her with something new other than the child neglect and the obstruction.
So you're saying that it's possible, and I certainly don't want to jump the gun. Again, this young woman has pleaded not guilty to child neglect and lying to investigators. She deserves a presumption of innocence, but we're talking about the possibility here that she might have been arrested for more serious charges, which could include, obviously, if they found her daughter's body, murder.
Well, absolutely. Absolutely, Jen. You don't go and take someone away after they just made bail and bring them back to the police station under the context of what was going on earlier, which was the potential deal of immunity, and she had all weekend to think about it. Obviously, they planned on Tuesday being the deadline, so her and her attorney can discuss it and think about it, but obviously that's been obviated by this police action right now.
Do you think if they found something more, they were like, forget about, as Nancy Grace suggested, forget about the limited immunity deal. We're just going to come in and take you.
Well, there's no doubt that if the reason they offered the immunity deal originally was because they didn't have enough and they were reaching for straws, hoping they can get some clues. At this particular time, if they have more evidence that they think they could win in court, they're dragging her in, and that's the end of the immunity deal.
All right, Natisha Lance, Nancy Grace, producer, doing a stellar job trying to make sense of the madness outside the Orlando, Florida, Anthony home. What have you seen and heard since we last checked in with you moments ago?
I do have confirmation that she did leave the home in handcuffs with the two lead detectives. Tim Miller, who has been on the show with us, also said that he will be talking to the lead detectives very shortly. They're supposed to be giving him a phone call. But at this point, all of the police cars have cleared out. The protesters are overjoyed, and Cindy Anthony did go back into the home.
And Casey Anthony left in handcuffs. Natisha, that is correct. All right, let's go to Andrew Scott, former chief of police, Boca Raton, Florida. You are a former police chief. You have watched this situation unfold. Give us your analysis. And again, we don't want to go into dangerous speculation that is unfair, but we want to give our viewers a sense of what's possibly happening to Casey Anthony tonight in this case that all of America is riveted on.
If Casey was left out of the house with handcuffs and accompanied by the law enforcement officers, clearly she was under arrest. If she was voluntarily going to the police department with the officers to give a statement of sorts or to provide additional information and she was not handcuffed, obviously that would be a voluntary aspect of her going to the police department. The fact that she's in handcuffs, obviously new developments have come, new evidence has been brought to light, and she is under arrest. They would not handcuff her unless she was under arrest.
Mark Williams, new director, WNDB News Talk 1150. You've covered this from the beginning. This week has been filled with explosive developments, air samples coming back showing a decomposing body in the trunk of the car, all sorts of other forensic evidence, hair that appears, the first test appeared to be Kaylee's, and then also evidence that that hair showed signs of decomposition, although it's not foolproof, it's not 100%. Do you think they have enough to charge her with something more serious, given what we know, irrespective of did they find anything that we haven't heard yet?
Well, let me put it to you this way. I'm surprised. Now, I heard earlier tonight from a highly placed source that this was going to come down and that we could expect a bombshell coming any time during this show, which we all saw on the TV. But the big thing is right now, I think they have enough circumstantial evidence to pick her up like they did just a couple of moments ago. They had the cadaver dogs hitting a couple of times, both in the car and in the backyard of the Anthony household. They have the DNA and the sniff test, which came back earlier this week. Again, as we talked about in past weeks, you know, people would ask, where's the DNA test? I said they're trying to dot their I's and cross their T's, which they've done. They did it probably late this afternoon, and they said, right, let's go get them.
It's an extraordinary event. And of course, so many other pieces of evidence, the circumstantial evidence, the habitual lies about where she left her daughter, a story that's been completely discredited, and the big fact we learned this week that she reportedly wanted to give her child up for adoption. It appears the world is caving in on Casey Anthony tonight. But happy news, a special happy birthday to Ann Lynch in Fayetteville, Georgia. There she is with Nancy and David's daughter, little Lucy. Happy birthday, Ann. And remember, Nancy is back live Monday with all the latest breaking developments in the search for Caylee Anthony. Monumental developments on this program. We're going to bring you more in a second.